welcome back. I'm going to do a roundup of horror films that I watched during Halloween period. It's just a lot of films I don't think I can do full videos on, but they were fun, enjoyable for the most part, and I'd covered something around them before, so it just feels like it'd be a good thing to do. So I'll just cover these films fairly quickly. I enjoyed most of them actually, so it's not like it's like, oh, I look down on them. It's just like I don't think there's that much to talk about with some of them. So that's it. Or I don't have anything I can say beyond what's been said about them already. It's that kind of thing. Sometimes like, yeah, everything you can read reviews in this and get an idea of what the film is. So I'll be brief in some of them. So I'll start off with Little Monsters, which is from it was from 2019. Yeah, my brain. It's an Australian film, and Josh Gad is the villain in it, and Lupita Nyong'o is the heroine. But it's an Australian guy playing the central character, who's a waster guy who's just split up with his girlfriend, and is looking after his 5-year-old nephew at a park with the school. Because they're going to this park thing with the nursery teacher, kindergarten teacher, whatever, and during this time he's trying to get his life back together because he's a complete loser. He destroyed his own relationship with his ex-girlfriend by lots of arguing and his own immaturity. He was in a band but split up, and he hasn't moved on. He doesn't want children, but he's struggling with the fact that his father left him years ago, left his family when he was 5. So he's a lot of sensitivities about the whole situation, and he's not handling things very well. To get in with the kindergarten teacher, played by Nyong'o, he's volunteers to go with them to this park just to be the adult supervision, even though he's not very adult. And yeah, he swears too much. He says things. He's into petty fights with some 5-year-old children. But during the time at the park, a zombie attack takes place. There's a US installation next to it, and they're doing something with zombies for some reason. And they escape, and they all go to where there's food, which is in the park nearby. Now the park it's been like they're all basically went there, and it can be corralled off so they can't escape any further. But this guy, the teacher, and the kids have to survive a zombie outbreak in this park that's set up for children, basically, or young teenagers, and it's a place where take kids from schools, and these are the youngest, and so they are having to do tricks to children, stop freaking the children out, so they don't realise they have a genuine zombie attack. So Lupita Nyong'o is doing songs with them, as if they're doing like little exercise and little play things to avoid the zombies, and they try to keep away from letting the kids know that it's actually a zombie attack and they could get killed, well, keep them alive. And I deal with Josh Gad, who's a local. He's an international children entertainer who is now in Australia because of various scandals, and he's trying to get his career back together, and he's a horrible person. And it's trying to deal with this horrible person who's a complete man-child, who makes the man-child lead character look good in comparison, which makes... So dealing with the situation and seeing this other guy who's like the worst version of himself makes our lead character grow up a lot throughout the course of the film, and help the children and realise he actually can be good with children, he can be helpful, he can be useful. Well, we find out more about Lupita Nyong'o's character as well. And it's a really good natured film. It's one of those things that's like, you can see where it's going from the start. You know exactly what the beats are going to be. But they're done so charmingly that it doesn't matter. Everything works really well. The zombies aren't very scary. They're just comedy zombies. But they do kill people, and they are dangerous enough for the tension, but they also can be used for humour. But it's mainly a character piece. But it really works very well. So it's definitely in the Shaun of the Dead mode, in Zombieland wise. that kind of thing where the zombies are a threat, but they're not really that important to the story. But it's definitely a very enjoyable film, and I'd highly recommend it. Now, if we go from that to a very bad-natured film, it's Terrifier 3, which I liked the first two Terrifier films quite a bit. They were nasty, bad-tempered. They ripped people to bits. They were very influenced by the nastiness of the 80s, of those kind of horror films. They really were going for the killer clown, but there was a black comedy element to it. The clown was funny, it was dark humour, and you couldn't take it too seriously. Damien Leone did the first two films, and now he came back for the third one, which is the first one was a micro budget, the second one had a bit more of a budget, and this one had more of a budget. Like, we're talking like $2 million as a budget rather than like 500,000 from the second one. So each one gets more ambitious, the film gets more ambitious. But this is the least of the three films for me. It really was. It felt like gratuitously cynical. Like the characters were paper thin. They were setting them up so you'd like some of them before they died. But they were paper thin characters. They weren't really, the character beats were very much based on the Halloween. It means basically they set up Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The idea of a young woman who went through trauma in the first one is now damaged. So she was just in the second film. Now in the third one, she's damaged from the first experience, and the killer comes back. So it's basically a remake of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and it actually lacks the kind of weird nastiness of the Rob Zombie film, and also, I'm amazing to see that the Rob Zombie film was more humane because it was a actual pain. This one, it felt like it was hitting beats. And it wasn't a fault that the actors all did their job. It was the writing wasn't right, and it had some fun deaths in it. But at a certain point, it just felt like it was gratuitous as killing people off and laughing about it, and isn't this funny? And it's like, you've done it so often in this film, it's no longer funny. It's just like, why do you hate people? Why are you so misanthropic? And so for me, this was the least of the three films. I enjoyed it as the least of the three. I mean, I'll definitely watch the fourth one to see what happens, but this one I felt was definitely like, there was just too much gore and and too much nastiness for its own good. It just felt there was an inhumane element to it that was just above and beyond. So it does not get a recommendation. It's just like, it's more like, go at your own risk. You might enjoy it, but you might feel bad about enjoying it because it is a bit much, and it is like, it's just too much of the director enjoying his own cruelty for me in this one. Okay, now we go to The Final Girls, which was a film from like 2015, 2016. It is the idea of a slasher movie. This young woman, her mother died in a car crash when she was in the car with her. She was an actress from old horror films, but hadn't been working for a while. And during a screening of the horror film my mum was in, which the girl goes to introduce it because she knows the person who's producing the screening of it, and he knows her and things like that. She's kind of guilted into doing it, really. Some supernatural stuff happened in the front of the film and have to survive the rules of a horror film. So it's basically Last Action Hero for horror films. And like Last Action Hero, there are good points and bad points. Basically, there's some fun jokes to be made, but also it can get a bit clunky. And in this thing, the horror movie cliches are fun, but as they go on, it becomes like, I know where it's going. It's nothing. There's some good horror gags in it. It's well directed. The acting, they know what kind of film they're in. It's very enjoyable, but it's not. It doesn't really get that clever. It just feels like, I know the gags. This one, I'm enjoying the actors and the characters more than I'm enjoying the invention of the storytelling. Really, and it just becomes this kind of film where it's good, but it's not great. I mean, it was enjoyable. It's that thing is, I feel like I'm damning it with faint praise, but it's like, no, it's an enjoyable film. It's just not as good as you hoped it would be. The sequel beta at the end, like, they end up getting trapped in the sequel film, and it's like, okay, they obviously want a sequel. The film didn't do very well, so there was no sequel. But it's still an enjoyable film. Again, it's one of those films you can get fairly cheaply on streaming. And I'd say it's good for viewing. But it's not like an amazing experience in any way. It's enjoyable. But, yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can say about it. It's an enjoyable, fun film. Not quite as good as it could be. Now is Doctor Sleep Director's Cut. Now, I did have a look at the Doctor Sleep theatrical cut when it came out. I enjoyed it. The Director's Cut is longer. I kind of like the theatrical cut more, even though there's bits from the Director's Cut that I like, I enjoy. But it just makes it feel like there's more stuff set in Overlook Hotel in the end, which feels overdone. It feels like it's almost like too much in love with The Shining, the original film, The Shining, and it feels more like fan service at times. When in the theatrical cut, it still felt a bit like that, but it didn't feel as bad. There's other scenes that are more fun character scenes that actually add a bit more to the characters, but it means when you get to the plot section in the second half, where people are under threat, makes that feel more like a TV movie thing, where it's just, you realise how kind of not how like unengaging the actual mechanics of the threat actually are. When in the film where it's going faster, you don't notice it as much. It feels more like there's a threat. It feels much more brutal threat. When there's more time to think about it, which you get in this one, you think it's not actually that interesting a threat. so there's a plus and minuses. It's like you get more character stuff, but the threat becomes much lower because you have more time to spot the plot holes, and it's a weird thing where, even though there was some flaws in the theatrical, I liked the theatrical more because even though the director's cut, you get more of a character cohesion through the story, you can see more flaws in the storytelling in it. So it's a weird thing. It's like, it's definitely one to watch just to see it, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily superior. It just makes the film feel a bit more flawed. So, yep, that's that one. Finally, we have Immaculate and First Omen, which are basically both nuns under threat movies. One's in the 70s, one's from modern day. Bizarrely, the tawdry genre rip-off of The First Omen is actually the better film. Immaculate, I'll start with though. Immaculate is like the I think it came out just before The First Omen, but they both came out fairly close together. It stars Sylvia Sweeney as this young woman who is going to this new church in I think it's Rome. I can't remember exactly where she's going, because I know in First Omen it's definitely Rome. This one I think it's further out from there, but and it's locked away from everywhere. I think the actual place she's going to is locked away from everywhere, and it's actually like a isolated place. I can't remember what country it's meant to be in. And as she's starting to realise something's a bit off at this place, and she's trying to wonder what's going on, and there seems to be a lot of kind of weird threats and weird things happening. And it turns out that she's been used for an Immaculate Conception to bring a new Christ, because they found a DNA from Christ from the one of the nails when he get crucified, and it's as tawdry as it sounds when you hear that plot explanation. It has got lots of gore, lots of insanity. It's paced weird. They're obviously up to something. It's obviously influenced by Rosemary's Baby, but it's also doing a tawdry 80s horror film at the same time, which is the enjoyable part of it. It's over the top nature isn't the enjoyable part of it. The fact it is unapologetic in its tawdriness and its gratuitousness, and Sweeney's doing a good job. She's really going for it, but she knows she's in a film that's a genre film, and when she gets moments to actually emote, she's really good, but she knows she's in a horror film. So this is like basically it's a B movie, but done well, done by people who know they're making a B movie, and it's enjoyable in that way, and I had a lot of fun with it, but I couldn't really recommend it to people as something that's amazing around, and it's a B movie. It's a fun B movie. There's lots of blood and gore. The First Omen, which should be the schlockier film, is actually the classier film. It is set in Rome in the 70s. This young woman is going to the church she's been in just America. It's getting closed down, so she's moved to Rome because she knows the cardinal. And of course, the shenanigans and all, because it turns out she's the mother of Damien, the Antichrist from the Omen films. She's the person going to give birth to him, and she's she's not willing. Is the best way to put it. This one's a more enjoyable film because it's more psychological. It's more about her unease about the whole about where she is in Rome. It's looking at her unease about is this the best place for her to actually give up her life for a life of pure servitude to God. There's a young woman who's also there's a lot of problems she's trying to help out, which the people in the church do not want to help her, and she starts to put together what's actually happening. And of course, Damien is born. Other things happen around about it, but we do get the Antichrist, which leads up to the Omen films. And there's a stinger at the end suggests a sequel possibility. It's one of those things where this should have been an awful film, but they had a good director who weaved into her own concerns and made that by this young woman who's in a situation where she's losing control. She's trying to regain control. She's trying to work out what she's feeling, what's happening. So it becomes a fun psychological film, much more like Rosemary's Baby than Immaculate. Immaculate is, it's Immaculate Conception. Oh, let's have lots of blood. It's tons of schlock, basically. This one's much more classier in the sense of we're trying to show the emotions of this person and how they can be manipulated and keep it plausible. And it just works. It works really well. I mean, outside of Damien Omen 2, that's my favourite Omen film. These are the two I like, the Omen series. I mean, the original Omen is always viewed as a great film, blah blah blah, and I always thought it was just schlocky nonsense. I don't take it seriously at all. It's fun for the deaths, but that's it. This one actually made the situation feel much more grounded than the actual Omen did. So it's a very enjoyable film. First Omen is so much better than it sounds. So much better than it had any right to be. Because the people making it actually wanted to make a good film. So yeah, I mean, all of these films I'd recommend seeing for different reasons, but First Omen and Little Monsters are the two I'd say the best ones. And Immaculate is probably the most schlocky fun one. It's basically, I think Terrifier 3 wanted to be the schlocky fun film of the year, but for me, Immaculate is much more entertaining in that area. Final Girls is fun. Dr. Sleep, Director's Cut, is overlong but enjoyable. So that's my my look at the films I watched over the Halloween period that I didn't get individual videos that were still enjoyable. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all later. Right, bye.